In late November 2025, a car carrier named BYD Shenzhen left the Chinese port of Xiamen with 1,768 electric vehicles aboard. Mexico was preparing new import duties that would take effect on January 1st. The ship reached Lázaro Cárdenas on December 21st, giving BYD 11 days of breathing room. It did not have to find an available vessel, negotiate for deck space, or wait for another shipping company to set the schedule. BYD already controlled the ship. That is the real point of BYD's fleet. It is not simply a collection of giant floating billboards. It is insurance against one of the least visible constraints in the auto business, getting finished cars across an ocean when everyone else wants the same limited space. BYD did not invent the idea of an automaker-linked shipping operation. Nissan established a wholly owned car carrier company in 1965. Toyota has long worked through closely connected marine logistics companies, and Hyundai uses Hyundai Glovis to move finished vehicles. So BYD is not the first automaker to put cars on ships connected to its own corporate network. What is unusual is how quickly BYD built a fleet around its own export push. Its first branded deep-sea carrier entered service in January 2024. By September 2025, there were 8. Some were owned by BYD, others were operated by an outside ship owner under long-term charter. Together, they formed a BYD-controlled transport system assembled in roughly 20 months. To understand why that happened, look at two numbers that moved in opposite directions. China exported 3.11 million vehicles in 2022, according to the country's Auto Industry Association. That rose to 4.91 million in 2023, 5.86 million in 2024, and more than 7 million in 2025. China became the world's largest vehicle exporter in the middle of that climb. The specialized ships needed to carry many of those cars had not grown nearly as fast. Clarkson's research estimated that global car carrier capacity in 2023 was only about 2% larger than in 2019. Yet seaborne vehicle trade was already above its pre-pandemic level, and the average voyage was getting longer as more cars moved from Asia to Europe and Latin America. The result was a classic capacity squeeze. A large car carrier cannot be ordered on Monday and delivered on Friday. Shipyards work years ahead. When demand returned after the pandemic and Chinese exports surged, automakers competed for a limited pool of vessels. By late 2023, the benchmark one-year charter rate for a carrier with space for about 6,500 standard cars reached $115,000 a day. That was more than 7 times the 2019 average. At that rate, 30 days of charter hire alone came to $3.45 million. Fuel, port charges, and other voyage expenses could sit on top of the charterer's bill, depending on the contract. Price was only half the problem. If another customer had already booked a ship for several years, that capacity was unavailable. A factory could be producing cars on time while thousands of finished vehicles waited at a port for a sailing that BYD did not control. BYD's answer began with Explorer number 1. The roughly 656-foot ship could carry up to 7,000 car equivalent units, or CEUs. It was not owned outright by BYD. Zodiac Maritime says it operates the vessel for BYD under a long-term charter. Zodiac also operates BYD Shenzhen under a similar arrangement. That distinction matters because the fleet is best described as controls by BYD, not entirely owned by it. The names then arrived quickly: Explorer number 1, Changzhou, Hefei, Shenzhen, Changsha, Xi'an, Zhengzhou, and finally Jinan. Hefei was BYD's first carrier as a ship owner. Shenzhen marked the biggest jump. Delivered in April 2025, it measures about 721 feet long and can hold 9,200 CEUs. At delivery, it was the largest car carrier in the world by stated capacity. That record did not last. In April 2026, the 10,800 CEU Glovis Leader entered service and moved the benchmark higher. BYD Shenzhen was still enormous. It simply needed the accurate label: the world's largest when delivered, not the largest forever. By the time Jinan entered service in September 2025, BYD said the 8 ships provided annual transport capacity above 1 million vehicles. That figure describes potential carrying capacity across repeated voyages. It is not proof that 1 million cars were actually moved in a year.
Real throughput depends on sailing frequency, route length, port time, maintenance, and how much of each deck is filled. The ships themselves are built for that flexibility. A pure car and truck carrier, or PCTC, works like a towering enclosed parking garage with an engine room. A stern or side ramp connects to the terminal, and drivers take the vehicles aboard under their own power. There is no container crane lifting each car into place.
Inside, ramps connect wide vehicle decks. Some deck sections can be raised to make room for buses, trucks, and construction equipment, then lowered for smaller cars on another voyage. Raising a deck reduces the number of standard car spaces, but it lets the ship accept cargo that would otherwise be too tall. CEU is the industry's shorthand for a standard car-sized slot, historically associated with the dimensions of a Toyota Corona RT43. It makes ships easier to compare, but 9,200 CEUs do not guarantee 9,200 modern vehicles on every trip. Large SUVs, trucks, and mixed cargo use that space differently. On its first trip to Brazil, BYD Shenzhen reportedly carried about 7,300 vehicles, not a full 9,200. Electric vehicles add another operational layer. Their batteries make fire response different, especially if a damaged cell enters thermal runaway. Marine insurers say the total energy released by EV and gasoline vehicle fires can be broadly similar, but EV batteries can reignite and release flammable gases. Current guidance calls for early detection, rapid use of fixed firefighting systems, trained crews, and battery charge kept as low as practical. There is still no single international state of charge rule for vehicles carried at sea. BYD's newer ships can run on liquefied natural gas as well as conventional marine fuel. LNG can reduce sulfur oxides and other local air pollutants, and it may lower greenhouse gas emissions in some operating conditions. It is not a zero-carbon solution. Unburned methane can escape from engines, and that methane slip can weaken or erase the climate benefit. The fuel choice helps the ships meet today's operating demands, but it does not guarantee what regulators will require over a vessel's 25-year life.
All of that machinery serves one commercial advantage. BYD can choose when a large block of cars leaves and where it goes. The Mexico voyage showed the value clearly. Bloomberg reported that BYD Shenzhen reached port before duties of up to 50% took effect. The cargo was only a fraction of the vessel's full capacity, but waiting for a fuller load could have cost more than sailing with empty spaces. That is where a private fleet can beat a shared service. A traditional carrier wants to combine cargo from several customers, fill as much deck area as possible, and design a route that supports the whole network. BYD can decide that one deadline, one market, or one launch matters more than maximum efficiency on a single voyage. Control, however, does not remove cost. It changes the kind of cost BYD carries. When BYD books a third-party ship, much of the risk sits in the price of the contract. When it owns or controls a vessel for years, it gains reliable capacity but also accepts a long stream of fixed commitments. The crew, financing, insurance, maintenance, port calls, and repositioning do not disappear when demand is weak. The hardest part is the trip back to Asia. Europe and Brazil do not export the same volume of finished vehicles to China that China sends to them. In April and May 2025, tracking data reviewed by Business Insider showed Explorer No. 1, 𝗤𝗄𝗃, and Shenzhen arriving in Brazil heavily loaded and departing empty. Those three cases do not prove every return voyage is empty. They do show the structural problem.
An empty return still consumes fuel and time. The vessel still needs a crew, insurance, maintenance, and a place in the port schedule. Carrying fewer cars may reduce fuel use somewhat because the ship is lighter, but most voyage and ownership costs remain substantial. Established operators such as Wallenius Wilhelmsen, NYK, and Höegh have spent decades solving this problem. They serve many customers and many ports. A ship might carry Asian cars to Europe, collect European machinery for the Middle East, then load used vehicles or heavy equipment for another destination. The route may be slower, but every additional paying cargo helps spread the cost. BYD has fewer natural return loads because its network was built first to move BYD vehicles outward. It could sell spare deck space to other companies or carry industrial cargo back to Asia. The adjustable decks make that technically possible. Public evidence that BYD has developed a broad, dependable backhaul business is still limited. Until that changes, the empty leg remains the cleanest test of the strategy.
The market has also refused to move in a straight line. Charter rates fell hard during 2025 as a wave of new car carriers entered service. In November of that year, the one-year benchmark for a 6,500 CEU ship was about $42,500 a day, down 63% from the peak. For a moment, owning ships looked less attractive while renting became cheaper. Then, Chinese exports accelerated again. By mid-2026, large modern vessels were tightening up, and industry data showed charter rates rising sharply from their late 2025 low. This reversal does not prove BYD's ships will always save money. It shows why guaranteed access can be valuable in a market that can swing from shortage to relief and back again before a new ship is even delivered.
The deeper counterargument comes from BYD itself. The company is moving production closer to foreign buyers. Its Thailand plant is already operating. Its Brazilian factory is increasing local assembly and parts sourcing. Passenger car production in Hungary is scheduled to begin in late 2026. Every vehicle built near its customer is one less vehicle that must cross an ocean from China. That does not make the fleet useless. Ships can connect regional factories to nearby export markets, move models that are still built only in Asia, or provide emergency capacity when policy changes. But local production changes the original equation. A fleet designed around China's export surge may eventually need a more flexible cargo network to stay busy. So was buying and chartering 8 ships brilliant or reckless? The honest answer is that BYD has already secured something valuable: control over a meaningful share of its export schedule. It can move thousands of vehicles without entering the open market for every sailing, and it can respond to a tariff deadline with a ship already under its direction. What it has not yet demonstrated publicly is equally important. Can it keep the decks full in both directions? Can actual annual throughput approach the fleet's advertised capacity? And over a full shipping cycle, is its cost per delivered vehicle lower than the price of using specialists? The fleet does not mean BYD controls the world's shipping lanes. It means BYD no longer has to ask for every slot. Whether that becomes a lasting advantage will be decided on the least glamorous part of the voyage, the space it manages to fill on the way home.